The cool breeze here at the poolside at Silver Springs Hotel in Bugolobi is what Pitchside is enjoying. You too can. All you have to do is pass by Silver Springs Hotel in Bugolobi and have yourselves a very wonderful time here. Now, women in sport have really taken up massive roles, especially in Uganda. And I can tell you for a fact that women are trying to stamp the authority in different sports levels and disciplines. Today on Pitchside, we are talking women in sport and how they are trying to stamp the authority. One of the women who have really done an amazing job at being a very good sports administrator is Patricia Ayebare, who works with Express Football Club, and today she joins us on Pitchside to discuss her career and how she's been able to reach the level she's at now. All right, like I had earlier on said, joining me on a Pitchside today is a woman of steel, someone who is no nonsense, ever ready to fight on to make sure that she attains her goal. Patricia Ayebare joins me on Pitchside. Trish.
Hi, Peter.
How are you? Nice to have you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
It's going to be a very calm interview, by the way.
I hope so. I hope so.
How do they greet in Ruchiga?
Kije.
Kije.
Yes. Then I reply Horo. Then you say Horoje.
Horoje. I need to talk like that anyway. Jokes aside. Okobotia muna.
Ndio. Okobotia.
Interesting. We felt we should talk about women in sport and you know how they're trying to create a mark, especially those that people don't know about. But for starters, how do you as a person and sport relate from a very young age?
First of all, I was always taken to be a boy. My father is a teacher, so I would go with him to school, and every time I went to school with him, his colleagues would say, hey, how is your son? Yet they didn't know I was a girl. So I was a very playful girl growing up and very tiny. Let the weight not deceive you. Now, I think my sporting life started in secondary, senior, I want to be precise. I went to St. Peter's Nalia, and Henry Malinga was my first basketball coach, yes.
Okay. So
basketball was my first sport to love and to play. So that's my brief about sporting in especially high school. University, I was at Makerere, and then I think in my third year is when I joined A1 Challenge, and I used to train with them. That time I think it was Coach Jeff, then Hamza, then Mavita. So those are some of the people who have been with me in my sporting career. So after A1, I would not keep up with school work, training, because you know it's the norm. We always have to have the other hustle before you're saying that sport is actually your in thing.
Yes.
So I ended up being a water girl, jazzy girl, and then before I left, I was actually the team statistician.
I need to take you back a bit. When you played basketball at Spena, which position were you playing?
I was point guard. I also played at Miracle, which was then in Division 1, but now in the NBL top flight for the ladies.
Yeah, well, that's a very good background. It has basketball written all over it. But I would like to know, what has sport taught you in your everyday life?
Interesting. For sport, first of all, I think if you do not have the passion, then you're in a wrong place. Sport has taught me so many things. It has taught me patience. It has taught me consistency. It has taught me to learn from the seniors. You might have your own version, but how were the other people doing it, and how best can you be actually even better than them? Sport has taught me being kind-hearted, loving to volunteer a lot. So for me, sport is like my day-to-day.
So where does the sports administration muzimu
wow, clearly I have my bro called Kevin. I love you, bro. He told me one time recently, but man, Trish, this sport thing is a religion. I'm like, are you sure? He's like, yeah. But my passion for administration started in 2016 actually, because I wanted to give back to the sport. So I first went into those small clinics FUBA would create, the coaches clinics, mini basketball, referees. Then my former coach, who is now at KCCA, Miss Mavita Ali, goes to Germany. That time they were, I think, with Coach Teresa.
Yes.
And they were doing the basketball coaching course, which is about 6 months because the management is about 5 months.
Yep.
So she calls me and tells me, but Patricia, by the way, you're not a ref, you're not a coach. Please, you're an administrator. I'm like, but come on, I've just started. You cannot now be telling me now to change. So she's like, no, you have to listen to me. You're an administrator. So I think Mavita is one of the ladies I hold up very high because she was the first person to see that managerial role in me.
Yes.
And since then, I've not looked back. I did a certificate sports administration at UOC, and big ups to UOC because I think they have done a very tremendous job when it comes to impacting on managers and administrators in the sports fraternity. So I did my SAC, I did ASMAC, is the advanced. It's about usually 7 months. When COVID came, it started being online and what. I was glad enough to be actually physically in class. Then 2019, after Mavita had been pushing me from 2017, I earned my postgraduate at Leipzig in Germany. So that's how my sports administration journey started. And luckily it started when I have people who are fighting for me. I remember my first main duty was when City Oil was hosting the Zone 5 Club Championships. And that time the federation had an administrator who was always in and out of the country. He was Kenyan, he was called Scott.
Yes, I know Scott.
So that way Mr. Kwizera Grace woke up in one meeting and said, Patricia will manage this tournament. And then everyone is against me. She's new, she doesn't know. And then he says, no, she's going to learn and she will manage. If I'm ranting or if I'm worried about something that is not working out very correctly, he'll tell me, Trish, you know what? Calm down, let's see how we work this out. Because I'm that type of person who likes to have things done and in the systematic way. So for me, administration came as a blessing, first of all, and then I have grown to love it more and more, and every other opportunity I get to learn, be it a webinar, be it a short course, I'm really going for it, because if I do not get out of my comfort zone, then no one is going to come up and tell me, hey Trish, you need to do ABCD.
How has the experience been? Like, I mean, I know you're passionate about all of this, but how has it been for you?
It has been an interesting journey.
Yeah.
I would not say that it has not had ups and downs like any other career. First of all, we are few female administrators, and I think one of the things I would love to see, praying for my sports sector to grow, but also to see women out there trying to be involved. I believe if we got out of our comfort zones, because I know there are many out there, so I would like to see more women being involved in administration roles, because we are the unsung heroes. I'm the type of person who likes to be behind the scenes. I rarely want to be in front of the camera like now. Those who know me, those who have grown with me along the way, Asho Chomjisha, Okot Barbara, Karo Kakazi, my brother Tuka Brian. But every step I've taken in my life, especially sport administratively, these people have been there.
All right, in 2020, me and you actually met at Express Football Club.
Officially, yes.
Officially, and we worked together. What are some of the achievements you'd mention as a sports administrator now, as Patricia Ayebare?
Growth, I think, would be number one.
Yeah.
Number two is how best we relate with people. Those are some of the things I have learned as an administrator. Patience in football has been very key for me, because you have to deal with people both who have gone to school and those who haven't. Today I can deal with both people. Before, it was a struggle.
How interesting has it been, good, bad, for you working at a football club, dealing with players, and the experience? How has it been working at a football club?
It's been quite interesting. First of all, I didn't ever think in my life that I would work at a football club. Yes. But it has been an interesting journey. I have learned so much. Football has taught me mainly to educate my children. Why I say that I have learned, especially educating my children, I think in our first year, we dealt a lot with people who haven't gone to school, people who can't write their names. I don't want to mention names and stuff, but yeah. Footballers are the type, very few of them have finished university. So it is one thing I have learned, and I think it was one of the things I was discussing with our CEO, that if we could partner with vocational schools or universities where these players can then continue, especially weekdays or weekends after training, yes. Someone knows they have class in the evening. The issue of women being in a male-dominated sport has been a biggest challenge, where someone will say, or you're Malaya, or Oyoyebakane CEO, you know, such challenges. And I am very grateful to God that for wherever I have been, I have stood my ground. And if I've said this is how we are supposed to do certain things, it will be done that way, not because gwakubanga CEO kwagala. No. If CEO anjagala because I'm doing the right thing, very good. But if it's because I am a woman, then we have a problem.
What's the? I mean, we need to really also address this. The bit of sexual harassment with women being in sport. How have you been able to draw the line and make sure that you're supposed to do your job and that's it? And have you been able to make sure that you don't, I don't know if you've gone through any of those incidences wherever you've worked, but how have you approached it?
And I think this will be kudos to where I came from, my home, and then the club A1 challenge that raised me. We always had different outreaches at A1, but also having come from a male-dominated sport, which is basketball, I think I was ready for what football was going to give me. So if the coach says A at the technical ground, that is his area, that is his rule. I cannot start coming and saying, let the players do this. No. Now, for me, that was the starting point, knowing where my obligations and my roles start and stop. 1, 2, I learned to tame myself. If I'm not supposed to be somewhere at a certain point, why should I be there? Being professional has kept me mainly in my lane. Men in sport out there, let's have these boundaries. Please try to accept us the way we are. Try to be very professional when it comes to work ethics. You
did a course with FUFA recently.
Yes.
The match coordination course. What was your objective in doing this whole thing?
First of all, I didn't know what I was going to learn.
Yeah.
I was very grateful because what I was doing on game day at Express is actually what match coordination is. Now, the only element was how you manage the few minutes, or maybe, can I say 20 minutes to the kickoff of the game. So for me, the match coordination course was very good. One, I was able to meet some new people, like as usual, networking. Sport is all about networking. But also I was able to learn some of those things that a match coordinator should do. Match coordinator is supposed to actually be on ground, probably 6 hours earlier before the game starts.
And how do you get to play in rugby, and how was the experience for you?
I should testify that I used not to watch the women's rugby, but I think it was a moment that God had actually planned. I lost my sister June 2021 because I was kind of in denial. Now that sister of mine was the only person who used to do sport, to maybe wake up and run, jog, and rugby came in that place when I was now putting sport on a hold. But also our strength and conditioning coach Helen Buteme kept telling me, Trish, you need to come and try this out. So at one point I said, but this woman, you keep telling me I don't know that girl. She's like, you will learn, don't worry.
Tell us about Trish T.
Anyway, so Patricia is a sports administrator, an entrepreneur, and a hustler. Trish T, I started it as an individual, and it's still for an individual, but then I also have a company called Pitchside Events Management, and I think Trish T has been one of my biggest small achievements, biggest but also small because it's slowly growing, and right now I've, I think, done most of the sports that are always in Lugogo, and now trying to venture into events. Some people want their coffee, their tea, and this is what I'm trying to preach out there.
What would you want to achieve in the next 10 or 5 years as Patricia Ayebare?
As an entrepreneur, growing both brands, Trish Tea and Peaches. Patricia, the administrator, I want, I think, to go a notch higher. If it was possible, I would do my master's this year, but now we're already clocking down the year, and probably that would be next year. So my focus would be sports management, a master's in sports management. I would want to be a GS one day. I want to be a president, maybe.
Trish, any last words?
Thank you very much for hosting me. I want to appreciate you because so many of us, and I'm not alone, so many of us out there do the donkey work but never appreciated. But what I want to encourage administrators to do, if you're doing this thing with passion, one day, one time it's going to pay off. But if you're doing it because Patricia recommended you to do it, then you're in the wrong place. But nevertheless, do what you have to do, be very professional enough, and then the rest will be history. Thank you.